Hello, my name is Faith Rexroad, and I just want to thank you for being here today. Today I'll be presenting on person-centered therapy, a humanistic approach to counseling developed by Carl Rogers. The therapy is significant because it completely transformed the way we view the client-therapist relationship, putting the client's voice, experience, and autonomy at the center of the healing process. Imagine going to therapy and instead of being analyzed or told what to do, you're simply listened to, with full acceptance, empathy, and no judgment. That's the essence of person-centered therapy. It focuses not on fixing a problem, but on creating the right environment for the client to grow and find their own answers. One of my favorite Carl Rogers quotes really captures this. The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. This is the heart of this approach. Person-centered therapy was developed by Carl Rogers in the 1940s, during a time when psychoanalysis and behaviorism were dominant. Rogers was a clinical psychologist who believed that traditional approaches were too directive and didn't respect the client's perspective. In 1942, he published Counseling and Psychotherapy, and later in 1951, Client-Centered Therapy, where he introduced the idea of non-directive therapy. His work inspired a broader humanistic movement, influencing not only therapy, but also education, healthcare, and even peace building. Other contributors like Eugene Gendon and Natalie Rogers expanded on his ideas with new techniques and expressive therapies. The foundation of this theory is the belief that everyone has an actualizing tendency, an inborn drive to grow, heal, and become their best self. But when people are given love or approval only under certain conditions, what Rogers called conditions of worth, they may also lose touch with their true feelings. Rogers believed that if therapists could provide 3 core conditions, people could reconnect with themselves and thrive. Sorry, excuse me. Where was I? The first is unconditional positive regard, accepting the client without judgment. The second is empathy, genuinely understanding what the client is feeling. And the third is congruence, being real and authentic as a therapist. These conditions create a space where clients feel safe to be vulnerable and grow. In practice, person-centered therapy is very different from directive approaches like CBT. The therapist doesn't interpret, advise, or analyze. Instead, they listen deeply, reflect what the client is saying, and allow the client to lead the way. A typical session might involve long pauses, open-ended questions, and a lot of reflection. Like, it sounds like you're feeling really stuck right now. This technique helps clients hear themselves clearly and process their emotions. This approach is used in individual therapy, schools, medical settings, and more. For example, a client struggling with self-esteem may begin to see their value, not through advice, but by being accepted without judgment. That alone can be life-changing. Personally, I really connect with this theory. It reflects values I believe in, which are compassion, respect for people's inner wisdom, and the power of being present with someone. I've experienced the difference it makes when someone truly listens without trying to fix me. One of the biggest strengths is that it empowers clients rather than pathologizing them. At the same time, it's important to acknowledge that PCT may not work for everyone. Some clients need more structure or concrete strategies, especially in crisis or with severe mental illness. But even then, the spirit of this approach, empathy, and acceptance can still be incredibly valuable, meaning that you might have to do different types of therapy with someone who needs more intense therapies. For example, someone who struggles with severely bad anxiety might also need CBT therapy along with person-centered therapy. It isn't one fits all, which we all should know. So let me see where I was again. Looking ahead, I plan to integrate person-centered values into my future counseling practices, even if I use tools from other approaches. I believe therapy should start with a strong foundation of empathy and authenticity. For example, if I'm working with a teenager experiencing anxiety, I won't begin by giving coping skills. I'll first build trust, listen without judgment, and create a space where they feel heard and trusted, and feel like they can come to me and feel like I'm listening to them and their needs. That way, when we do get to strategies or goals, they're more open, engaged, and empowered. Person-centered therapy reminds me that being fully present with someone is often more powerful than any technique. To sum up person-centered therapy offers a profound yet simple message. People have the inner resources to grow and heal, and the therapist's role is to create the right environment for that to happen. It's a reminder that healing doesn't come from being fixed, it comes from being accepted. Rogers' work reshaped therapy by trusting the client's voice, and his influence is still felt across many disciplines today. If there's one takeaway from this theory, it's that empathy and acceptance aren't just techniques, they're the foundation for real change. Thank you so much for listening. Before I wrap up, I would like you to think about this. Have you ever had the experience of someone truly listening to you? How did that affect you? I think many of us underestimate how powerful that kind of presence can be.